one of the most used language. The companies like Google, Ola, Uber are currently using Python because of its flexibility, easy to implement and beginner friendliness. And you will get lots of frameworks and libraries in Python which will help you to make your life easy. In this video, we are going to talk about top 20 packages in Python which will help you to make your life easy. So before start the tutorial, let me introduce that Great Learning has came up with a brilliant idea, that is Great Learning Academy, where you will get almost 80 plus free courses, and after complete your course you can claim your certificate as well. And if you want to do these courses in your mobile application, that is also possible using Great Learning app. Let's get started with the tutorial. Now we will start with the top 20 packages in Python. But before that, let's have a look at how Python came into the picture and why this language name is Python as well. Right? Because the Python invented by Rossum in 1989. Rossum used to love watching comedy movies from late 70s. He needed a short, unique and slightly mysterious name for his language. And in that time, he was watching Monty Python's Flying Circus. And from that series, he decided to keep his language name Python. And this is how Python came into the picture, and you can say Python invented. Now, we will have a look at what is Python basically. Python is a most popular high-level object-oriented and interpreted language. Now, we will have a look at the top 20 packages you should know when we start with Python, right? So let's have a look at the first package. So we are going to talk about NumPy. So what is NumPy? NumPy is the first choice among developer and data scientists who are aware of technologies which are dealing with data-oriented stuffs. It is a Python package available for performing mathematical computation, to go for doing data analysis, data manipulation, and mathematical computation or statistical computation as well. NumPy is installed under the TensorFlow and another complex machine learning platform, empowering their operation internally. Since it's an array interface, it allows us multiple options to reshape large dataset. It can be used for treating images, sound waves representation, text to speech, image recognition, face recognitions, and the binary operations as well. If you just have marked your presence in the data science or ML field, you must have a look at NumPy to manipulate your data, to manipulate your image processing or object detection. Because in all the cases, we need to manipulate our arrays. So NumPy is the basic key for that. Now we will have a look at the second most used library, that is Pandas. So Pandas refers as a Python data analysis library. Pandas is another open source Python library for availing high performance data structure and analysis tools. It is developed over the NumPy package. It contains data frame as its main data structure. So if you start working with machine learning, then you need to store your data set, right? So in that case, we use Pandas data frame to store your data. With a data frame, you can store and manage your data from tables by performing manipulation over rows or columns. Methods like square bracket notation reduce person's effort in data analysis tasks like square bracket rotations. Here, you will get the tools for accessing data in memory, data structure performing read and write tasks, even if there are multiple formats such as CSV, SQL, HDFS, or Excel, etc. So for all the type of the data, your solution is Pandas. So for that, you should learn Panda. So these are the basic pillars for Python. So if you know NumPy and if you know Pandas, then you can start doing your basic programming with Python. Now let's have a look at what is Matplotlib. So if we take an example of a machine learning or a data science process, so first we need to understand our data. To understanding your data and manipulating your data, you can go for using NumPy and Pandas. But if you need to see your data, if you need to visualize your data, in that time we need to use Matplotlib. So Matplotlib is basically used for plotting library. It's a plotting library of Python and which helps you to plot your data. And there are lots of types of 2D, 3D plotting you can do using Matplotlib, and one can easily use it in their Python code and or Python shell or Jupyter notebook applications. With Matplotlib, you can make histograms, plots, bar charts, scatter plots, etc. So this is why we need Matplotlib to understand, to visualize our data. Now let's have a look at the Seaborn. So basically, Seaborn was designed to visualize the computer statistical models. It has the potential to deliver accurate graphs such as heat maps, Seaborn, like correlation, right? Basically, we use heat map to understand the correlation of the data set, right? So in that case, Seaborn was created on the concept of Matplotlib, and somehow it is highly dependent on that. Minor to minor data distribution can be easily visualized using this library, which is why it's become so popular with days. And this is one of the best choice for the developers, and they want to go for Seaborn most of the time. So these Matplotlib, Bouquet, and the Seaborn, it all are data visualization library. Now we will have a look at the Bouquet. Bouquet is also one more visualization library for designing interactive plots, bars, histogram, just like the Seaborn. It's also developed on Matplotlib. So Matplotlib is the best for any visualization library due to the use data-driven documents. So it supports its presence interactive design in the web browser as well. So this is what we need to understand the data visualization libraries. Okay. Now we will have a look at the one more data visualization library, that is Plotly. So Plotly, which is one of the most famous web-based frameworks for data scientists. This toolbox offered designing a visualization model with varieties of APIs supported by multiple programming languages, including Python. You can easily use interactive graphics and numerous robots accessible through its main website plotly.ly. For using Plotly in your working model, you need to set up Avel APIs keys properly. The accessible graphics are processed on the server side, and once successfully executed, they will appear on your browser screen. So Plotly is one of the most exciting and most used data visualization library again. So we have covered so far how can you manipulate your data, understanding your data, and then we comes to the visualization part of your data. So we have lots of libraries to visualize your data as well. Now we will have a look at the request library. What is this request library stands for? Now we will have a look at how request works, right? So in this case, request is a library of Python which that you can use to send all kind of HTTP request, right? And it can easy to use library with a lot of feature ranging from passing parameters in URLs to sending customer headers and SSL verification. In this library will help you to allow you to send HTTP requests. You can add headers from data, multipart files and parameters with simple Python dictionaries and access the response data in the same way. So if you go for doing the web scraping, that time you need to send HTTP request, right? So that time you can use this Python library. Now we will have a look at the scikit-learn. But what is scikit-learn? Scikit-learn is a library which helps you to work with machine learning techniques. So when we talk about machine learning, we know machine learning is basically, it has lots of algorithms, right? So those algorithms divided into three parts: supervised, unsupervised, and reinforcement learning. Under those types of machine learning, we also have lots of algorithms, right? So in that case, like doing those algorithm and making use of those algorithm, we need to write a code. In that time, scikit-learn came into the picture. Scikit-learn is a simple tool for data analysis also and data mining related tasks. It is open source and licensed under the BSD. Anyone can access or reuse it in various contexts. Scikit is developed over the NumPy, SciPy and Matplotlib. It is being used for classification, regression and clustering and management spam, image recognition, drug response, stock pricing, customer segmentation, credit card fraud analysis, etc. It is also allows dimensionality reduction, model selection and pre-processing. So scikit-learn is a total package where you will use all the concepts of data science toolkit and you can go for making your own model using machine learning as well. Now let's have a look at the next library. Now we will talk about the XGBoost. So basically boosting technique we use to boost our model. So here also we have a library called TMLC XGBoost, which is already predefined code is there in the library, and we just need to call the boosting functions like XGBoost or catboost or etc. Now we will have a look at the TensorFlow. But what is TensorFlow? This is an open source library and it was designed by Google to compute data log graphs with the empowered machine learning algorithms. It was designed to fulfill high demand for the training neural network. So, what is neural network? Basically, we have a concept in artificial intelligence. There we make a replica of our brain, and that is known as the artificial neural networks. And here comes the TensorFlow technique that is developed by Google to compute those neural networks. It is not just limited to the scientific computations performed by Google, rather, it is widely being used in the popular real world application. Due to its high performance and flexible architecture, the deployment for all CPUs, GPUs, or TPUs become easy tasks, performing PC server clustering to the edge devices. So, TensorFlow was the one of the most useful choice when it comes to neural networks programming language. Now, let's have a look at what is Keras. So, Keras is also one of the part of neural network, and if you want to compute your neural network using Keras, you can do that. And Keras is also one of the most powerful Python library which allow high-level neural networks APIs for integration. These APIs execute over the top of TensorFlow, Theano, and CNTK. Keras was created for reducing challenges faced in complex researches, allowing them to compute faster. For one who is using deep learning libraries for their work, Keras is the best option. It allows fast prototyping, supports recurrent and convolutional neural network individually, and also their combination execution over GPU and CPU. Keras provides a user-friendly environment, reducing your effort in cognitive load with simple APIs, giving us the required results. Due to its modular nature, one can use varieties of modules for neural layers, optimizer, activation function, and lot more for developing a new model using neural network. It is an open source library written in Python for data scientists having trouble adding new modules. Keras is a good option where they can simply add a new module as class and functions. So making a model using Keras is easy, and it is beginner friendly as well. Now we will have a look at NLTK. But what is NLTK? NLTK is basically natural toolkit, okay, for natural language processing. So natural language processing we use to process our natural language, and NLTK is basically pronounced as the Natural Language Toolkit. As per its name, this library is very helpful for accomplishing natural language processing tasks, right? In the initial stage, it was developed to promote the teaching models and other NLP-enabled research such as cognitive theory of artificial intelligence and linguistic models, etc., which has become a successful resource in its field, driving the real-world innovations from artificial intelligence. With NLTK, one can perform operations like text stacking, stemming, lemmatization, classification, regression, tokenization, corpus tree creation, name entity recognition, and text-to-speech conversion, auto image captioning, right, semantic reasoning, and various other complex artificial intelligence tasks. Now, challenging works requiring large building blocks like semantic analysis and automation or summarization has become an easier task which can be easily completed using NLTK. And if you want to go for analyze the Twitter sentiment analysis, you can go for doing using NLTK as well. Now comes the Spacy library. But what is Spacy? Spacy is a free open source library for advanced natural language processing in Python. After NLTK, we went for Spacy. If you are working with lot of text, you will eventually want to know more about it. For example, what it's about, what do the words means in context, who is doing what to whom, what companies and products are mentioned, which texts are similar to each other, right? So Spacy is designed specially for production use and help us build application that process and understand large volumes of text. So it can be used to build information extraction or natural language understanding system or to pre-process text for deep learning. So this is the advanced part of NLTK, you can say. Spacy is not a platform or an API. Right? Spacy does not provide a software as a service or a web application. It is an open source library designed to help you build NLP application. So Spacy is not an out-of-box chat bot engine. While Spacy can be used to power conversational application, it's not designed specifically for chatbots and only provides underlying text processing capabilities. right? So if you want to make your chatbot using Spacey, you can start doing that, because Spacey is one of the most used and beginner friendly part in natural language processing. Now we will have a look at one of the most used library, that GenSim, that is basically for topic modeling for humans. So GenSim stands for Generate Similar, is a popular open source natural language processing library used for unsupervised topic modeling. It uses top academic models and modern statistical machine learning to perform various complex tasks like building document or word vectors, performing topic identification, performing document comparison, retrieving semantically similar documents, analyzing plain text document for semantic structure. Apart from performing the above complex tasks, GenSim implemented in Python and Cython is designed to handle large text collection using data streaming as well as incremental online algorithms. This makes it different from those machine learning software packages that target only in memory processing. So GenSim comes into the picture in 2008, and it started off a collection of various Python scripts, right? And it has various features, and it is scalable. It is robust because GenSim is robust in nature and has been used in various systems by various people as well as organization over the years, right? It is platform agnostic, efficient multi-core implementation you can do using GenSim. In order to speed up the processing and retrieval on machine clusters, GenSim provides efficient multi-core implementation of various popular algorithms like latent semantic analysis, that is known as LSA, and random projections, etc. It is open source and abundance of community supports. So this is the library is basically used for topic modeling, and it's one of the most used library for enterprise applications as well. Now we will have a look at the Scrappy library. But why do we need Scrappy library? So before start with Scrappy, let me give you an example of web scraping. So when do we use web scraping? So if you want to handle lots of data, and if you are a data analyst or a data scientist, obviously you need to go for lots of analyzing the data. From where you will get those data, right? So in that case, we used to fetch data from the website, which are publicly available for sure. We do not try to fetch the data which is private for some of the particular websites. But if you see that in the website you have the relevant data you want to go for, but in that case there is no option to download those data. How can you do that? So in that time, the Scrappy or Beautiful Soup library comes into the picture, and that is known as the web scraping. So we can do web scraping using Python, and Scrappy is a free and open source web crawling framework written in Python. Originally designed for web scraping, it can also be used to extract data using APIs or as a general purpose web crawler. It is currently maintained by Scrapping Hub Limited, a web scraping development and service company. Now we will have a look at the one of the most used library, that is stat models. So in the picture itself, you can see we use stat models for linear and logistic regression, but this is not the case. If you understand your data, if you want to see how your data is performing, what's the structure of your data, you need to have a proper understanding of the statistics of your data. In that time, you can use stat models. So stat model is a Python package that allows user to explore data, estimate statistical models, and perform statistical states. An extensive list of descriptive statistics, statistical test, plotting function, and result statistics are available for different types of data and each estimators. So this is why we need to use stats model in most of the cases to do our statistical concepts. In this library, it helps us to just call those functions and our work is done. This Python library is also responsible for providing the data exploration modules with multiple methods to perform statistical analysis and assertions. The use of regression techniques, robust linear models, analysis models, time series, and discrete choice model makes it popular among other data science libraries. It has a plotting function for statistical analysis to achieve high performance outcomes while processing large statistical data set. Now we will have a look at one of the most used library, that is OpenCV. So basically OpenCV is designed for driving growth of the real-time computing applications development. It was created by Intel. This open source platform is licensed under BSD and free to use for anyone. It includes 2D and 3D feature toolkits, object identification algorithm, mobile robotics, face recognition, gesture recognition, object detection, object identifications algorithm, mobile robotics, and lots more. And it will also have boosting, gradient boosting trees, naive Bayes classifier, and many other useful packages. Even if OpenCV is written in the C++, it provides binding in Python, Java, and Octave. This application is supported on Windows, Linux, iOS, and other platform as well. Now we'll have a look at the Pillow library. So Pillow library is a free and open source additional library for the Python programming language that adds support for opening, manipulating, and saving many different images file format. It is available for Windows, Mac, OS, and Linux as well. Now, last but not the least, we will talk about PyTorch. So PyTorch is considered as one of the largest machine learning libraries for data scientists and researchers. It helps them in dynamic computational graph design, first tensor computations, accelerated through GPUs, and various other complex tasks. In neural network algorithm, PyTorch APIs plays an effective role. The hybrid front-end PyTorch platform is very easy to use, allow us translating in graph mode for optimization. For achieving accurate results in asynchronous collective operation and establishing a peer-to-peer communications, it provides a native supports to the user. With native ONNX, Open Neural Network Exchange support, one can export models to leverage visualizer, platforms, runtimes, and various other resources. The best part of PyTorch is enables a cloud-based environment for easy scaling of resource used in deployment or testing. It is developed on the concept of another ML library called as Torch. Since the past few years, PyTorch is getting more popular among the data scientists due to trending data-centric demands. So we came to the end of the short video, and lastly we will talk about SciPy. So we almost completed 19 top packages in Python, and lastly we will talk about SciPy. So it is a free and open source Python library used for scientific computing and technical computing. SciPy builds on the NumPy array objects, and it's a part of the NumPy stack, which includes tools like Matplotlib, Pandas, SymPy, and expanding set of scientific computing libraries as well. Right? So we have talked about lots of libraries, and it's up to you how you want to use those library. And if you want to learn more about this data science part and other technical content, then please subscribe Great Learning, and please do like the video. And if you want to do courses on this technologies, please go to Great Learning Academy, where you will get almost 80 plus free courses, and after complete your course you can claim your certificate. And if you want to go for doing this projects in Great Learning app, that is also possible using Great Learning mobile application. Thank you so much.